Welcome to my first ever day in the life vlog, which I decided to do on Cyber Monday. If you're new here, I am a small business owner. I resell clothing and shoes and accessories online, mostly women's, but also some men's. I'm going to go ahead and speed up this section while we chat a little bit about that. I spent a total of 15 minutes at my storage unit, which is where I store all of my inventory. I used to store it in my home, but it became way too overwhelming and very stressful to work in the same environment when I felt cluttered. So getting this storage unit has been such a great investment. In those 15 minutes, I pulled 33 units. I also spent a short amount of time looking for one item. A tank top sold, and when I went to enter the sale into my spreadsheet, it had already been marked as sold. So I wanted to check my inventory to make sure that that was true and I didn't have the item and mistakenly marked that on the spreadsheet a couple of months ago, but the item was nowhere to be found, so I do think it sold back in September. Unfortunately, things like that too happen sometimes. There are a lot of units that go in and out and a lot of units to manage, so there is definitely a human error component. This item specifically, it sold on Mercari in September, so I think it somehow just didn't get delisted on Poshmark and then sold again on Poshmark, and it wasn't until it sold again that I realized that this active item was not truly available. Another mistake that I made was one item was not in the bin location I expected it to be in. Normally, I would use my phone and look up my inventory sheet on Google Sheets and find the correct bin number and pull it before I left. However, my phone was being used to record this video and I totally forgot to do it after the fact. So that just means I will pull it in 2 days. I usually go every 2 days to pull inventory. And now I am wrapping up all the items that I can reach from this side. So here I am just getting the camera to switch it to a different angle. I have each item ready to go in a poly bag with a number on it. And then in my spreadsheet, I also have the bin location that it goes into. This has made pulling items and shipping items so extremely quick. And it definitely kind of front loads the process where I have more work to do in the beginning and pulling and getting it out the door is much easier. For now, this method works really well for me. I do hear others' arguments that it is not best to be using polybags for the environment, and it is something I definitely consider, but with the quantity of items I have, I also have to be the most efficient with my time, and right now I do not really see another way to accomplish both, so I will likely continue what I'm doing until I can come up with a better strategy. And that wraps up grabbing all of these sales. I take them home, which is about a 5-minute trip, and then package them there. If I have less than 10 sales, I do have packing material in the unit to package those quickly. If it's over 10, I like to take it home. Speaking of home, once I got home, I played outside with my two pups. I try to do this at least once a day just to get some outside time for me, but also to burn some energy for them. It definitely has become a highlight of my day. My husband and I have both worked hard with training our dogs, so I use this as a time to do mental stimulation, but also physical stimulation. So them running around chasing the ball, but also the mental component of following commands before the ball is thrown. We also usually have a period where it ends up just being chase around this table. But here is a quick example of what I mean by commands.
Go girl. Nollie, stand. Go girl. Nollie, sit. Good job. Touch. Break. Erebus, cup. Erebus. Right here? I don't know where you're going. Oh, let's see. Okay. Sit. Good boy. Erebus, stand. Good job. Touch. Over here. Okay, wait. Good boy.
After that, I went inside and ate a quick slice or two of pizza for lunch. If you haven't had green chili on your pizza, you are missing out. I set up my camera to video unboxing a box here, but look at how cute these pups are just sitting on the stairs. Okay, back to the unboxing. I got a special cocoa from Amazon that is supposed to be extra strong to make my hot cocoa mix that I make every year. I love doing this. My husband and I love the hot drinks during the cold weather, and this is such a staple during this season. Now that I have my special cocoa, I went to make the hot cocoa mix. I toasted the dry milk in the oven to give it a little bit of a toasty flavor. Then it was time to get back to work. I took all of my sales up the stairs to package them in my office. Okay, now let's get into the nitty-gritty details of these sales. Over the week of Black Friday, I sent out offers for 20, 30, 40, and then even 50% off all of my currently listed items. All items that I had listed received the 20 through 40% off, and they were on different days. And then on the 50% off, I went to specific categories and offered it on only a certain few categories. So I am packaging 40 items. Some of these are not recorded whenever I do package them a little bit later. I had a total gross sales amount of $1,522 with all of these. Now, keep in mind that is gross sales. That is before cost of goods or anything else. My gross profit looks very different from that number. My gross profit is taking out the fees that I pay each platform, as well as shipping cost and cost of goods. And on all of those sales, my gross profit was only $681.25. Usually, I do feel like I have a better ratio of gross profit to gross sale amount. However, with me sending out such steep discounts, there are some that I ended up losing just a little bit of money on, and then some that I made really good profit on. So they kind of counteracted each other to end up with that amount. The items that I lost money on actually sold as part of a 5 for $25 sale, and they are items that I've had for way too long, and I was trying to recoup some of my cost of goods back, and that was better than just donating that item in my mind. I probably would have reached that point, but I'm glad to have made profit on a couple that were part of that sale, and then to recoup some of my investment. With that being said, my gross profit did range from negative $8.78 to $79.20, with most concentrated in the 10 to 40 range. Usually my goal is to make a minimum of $20 profit per item. This does have some exceptions, specifically liquidation. When I buy a box of things, I expect some to have really high profit and some to have almost break even, like $1 to $5 profit. And that about wraps up this section. If you have any questions that I didn't address, be sure to put them in the comments below. Here is just a little snippet of my husband not realizing I was recording in the kitchen.
Probably.
And now, after a little bit of adjusting my mix recipe, I felt like I finally got it right. The next thing I did before sitting down to do computer work was to get in a quick stretching slash exercise video because my back was kind of hurting already, and I knew sitting at my desk staring into a computer was only going to make it worse. Also, I never thought about how funny songs sound on hyperspeed until seeing this at a fastened pace. If you couldn't tell, this is a Mac Miller song. And now that that is out of the way, I went on to do computer work. The time at which I do this every day varies. Sometimes I get it done first thing in the morning. Other times I do it later in the day. Sometimes I do it multiple times a day and just break it up. It really just depends on what I have going on that day and kind of how I'm feeling. During this session, I listed 5 new items. Usually I do try to shoot for more than 5, but that was all that got done today. I also updated my spreadsheet with 2 sales that had happened by this point in the day. One item that sold are these teak flats, and they sold while I still had a 40% markdown on eBay. These are an example of an item that I definitely overpaid for. I was expecting them to be an additional 25% off, and when I took them up to the cash register, the cashier told me that they were not, and I ended up checking out with them anyway. I should have just walked away and not gotten them. I knew I was paying too much at the time. I ended up losing $2 on this sale, but I am glad to have learned a lesson and to get them out so I can invest in units that actually bring profit. The second item is this Free People Brahmi tank top. I paid $4.99 for this, and I ended up profiting $10.94. That is below usually my $20 minimum threshold, but this was a really quick sell, and Free People has a following, so I am okay with selling some of their less substantial pieces as well. At this point, I hadn't heard our mail carrier, so I decided to make a quick run to the post office to drop off my packages. I ended up just dropping them in the drop box. Usually I use the self kiosk, but it was down and there was a line, so I ended up just dropping the packages. Then I was planning to make dinner, but instead I needed gas from Costco, so I ended up just picking up some chicken bakes. After dinner, another package had arrived, and it was these individual loose leaf teas that I got for our advent calendar. We did this last year with teas, and it was so much fun to have a different one every day. I do have to say that we got a little bit tired of it though, so this year I purchased less, and then I'm supplementing with some chocolate bars. I am still waiting on those chocolate bars, but I wanted to show you our Christmas tree and the calendar with tea. Lastly, to end my day, this is where I would oftentimes do listings while watching TV, but instead I am going to work on editing a vlog. Until next time, thanks for watching.